This is Lou Welch. I'm not the house I carry about with me, and nobody is really at home, I said. I'm still unable, out of fear for it, to make a simple rock climb. I can give you, therefore, no ecstasies. It was only a perfect morning, head in the shade, body in the sun, slow sea lapping at the sand I laid on, thinking I was in that part of the world for a jazz festival. Nothing we invent, including jazz, including this I've made, including all you make of it, has anything to do with this. When over the cliff's edge appeared two young, beautiful people, a couple I'd met only the day before. We were so glad to see each other. It was such an incredible accident to meet that way. But it was a quiet thing, having to do with the way the sea moved. And when the time came, we left together to hear our greatest musicians. And were moved again, in that way, in that different way. Not to be confused, we must somehow learn not to be confused. Left a universe for a world of words, for music is still in the world of words. And it didn't happen, as it so seldom does. So seldom the grace of a chance meeting in a chosen place. Art is the enemy, invention the enemy, as muscles to the leap. Not necessarily up, you understand? I praise, who left me a few words, usually a pointless joke or a silly question, a line of poetry drunkenly scrawled on the margin of a quick splashed picture, bug, leaf, caricature of teacher on paper held together now by little more than ink and their own strength brushed momentarily over it. Their world and several others since, gone to hell in a handbasket. They knew it, jeered as it whizzed by, conked out among the busted spring rain cherry blossom wine jars, happy to have saved us all. If you want a big chunk of Stein, suggest composition as explanation. Perhaps the best choice of a thing of hers that does both jobs well. Sure enjoyed that evening. Sorry I was so high and inconsiderate. Ryoanji. Money never changes, only the pockets change. Gave address. Your myth all over these mountains, no need to come back, and it must be better there. The instant I get bread, off I'll go to Japan too. It's really getting all glued shut over here. Very interesting. Meanwhile, a large group of truly liberated souls wander about, smiling and being outrageous. It will all fall down, say, in 5 to 15 years, or weld itself into a buzzing lump of no interest to anyone. Everybody wonders where Jackie and Pat buy their clothes. After debating on TV, our leaders hug each other, smearing makeup on themselves, they says. All issues are forbidden in the debate because it's all too crucial to allow for party differences. It is so crucial, we are told, that it has all been decided beforehand. But vote. I understand people over there assassinate people. How barbaric. Portland is sacrificing all for freeways. No other activity. All the mansions must come down. This one goes in 3 years. Meanwhile, the shamans are noisy amid the riches of what was once the greatest nation in the world. The riches turn out to be old crafts, having been lost some time ago, so that only the poor or eccentric can surround themselves with shapes of elegance, soon to be demolished, in which they're forced by poverty to move with leisurely grace. You remain alert, so as not to get run down, but it turns out you only have to hop a few feet to one side, and the whole huge machinery roars by, not seeing you at all. Love to both. Very happy. I'm now a happy man. No hang-ups, bad cough, poor, worry sometimes about money, worry hard in fact, but then weight swings somehow, goes on whether I pay for it or not. Tonight found 50 pounds of apples on a tree in the zoo. Drink buttermilk at the bee corner. Friends feed me. I fart constantly. Fart and partridge. Look up. Perhaps me liver still. I'm again sexually successful. Girls desire me. I like that. I used to talk too much, now I fart too much. But I can't ever tell you in writing, now almost done in, tired, brandy-full, about how wild in Portland it was. Giant read, returning reading poems and fucking 20-year-old girls and getting no shit asked twice by liquor stores if I was old enough to drink. Me, beardless and 34 and white hair all over the head and booze enough passed through me to float your boat to in just slack lip British reading of Last Word. Put it far too briefly that Jerry Heiserman and me put on huge circus. Fact, a circus. All you need for a circus is naked girls and clowns and lion makeup. 380 people came to watch it. We marched in huge parade with gongs and cymbals and a dead loon hanging upside down over the stage just below a huge Nazi flag with burned edges. But there weren't any room to put on the show. So we just milled around a while, all them folks gaping at the naked girls, literally naked. And then we walked out, tattooed man and all. The crowd, I'm told, stayed till 3 or 4 and had a ball. Never really figured out what Dada outrage really was. They still and never won't know. New story may be sexy enough for Playboy, I don't know. It and the one I showed you fits in a giant book of connected short stories, which I'm dedicating to you, Kerouac. I see it as maybe 20 short stories with little inserts in between, like Hemingway's In Our Time. Can't write that Leo book. Like you say about you, I'm tired of myself. I'm in the middle of 3rd story, have most of the stories half-assed in my head. Most of the inserts between stories written, small, 1-paragraph short stories. Also, I'm working on huge screech of soundtrack for insane movie, Din movie. Could never tell you everything, so I won't try till see you next time. Well, in 1950 I thought, 1960, that's the year. Sure enough it was. Don't know whether it really was or whether maybe I just made it be. Proof theory. Anyway, sure was. I'll never complain again. Whitman put it right. All things are arranged to complete and delight me. You realize that 1961 is the same forward and upside down and backward. What might we ever expect? I'm healing here, eating and sleeping and painting and so forth. We'll return to SF January 15th for fresh whop at it. Who knows? Dear Philip, we again approach the solstice. The death of the god, the birth of something else. Because some things like the poinsettias are coming on now, as at no other time, and our theories have to let that in, because we know it will be all right again. I think about old Tommy, the St. Louian who pretended about getting by on dried tubers, when really he was eating goose and cauliflower. So naturally it is necessary to send you greetings. What can we say to them? All evening I've talked too deeply to my weeping mother, my weeping also. Trying to persuade her it's okay for her to find it meaningless, but not okay to kill herself on that right account. It is so far down. It is so very far down, where the real talking begins. It sounds like such baby talk, both to them and to us. What to say? I found myself, without being able to avoid it, using some of your lines as a text. Minimum bother to ourselves and everybody else, so forth. What I said and what you wrote down got in there a little. At least at the last she was laughing. We're terribly tired. We do this to each other. Ungluing ourselves helps. Little Brandy, the son who hated her once and who no longer does. Mother who gave him up, only to find him returning with clay all over $1.50 boots. Talking, as she puts it, in an overstimulating way. It can be said on this occasion when something that really happened, a year, a cycle, growing up and a withering away, is ending in another, we have every reason to believe, is already mothering away underneath there and everything. It can be said that you spoke more of it, more truly than any of the rest of us. It's very nice, considering that nobody asked you to. I suppose I just used it as an excuse, but the vision I had about what 1960 would be proved to be correct for me. It is as old as man said, everything is arranged to complete and delight me. I tremble before the possibilities of a year which reads the same backwards and upside down. I return about January 15th with a jeep full of paintings for poet painting show. I needed this food and rest, exhausted when I got here. Okay now. Enjoyed your happy letter. The ability of humans to invent these subtle means to their own destruction is becoming such a drag for me that I fear I can't find much compassion anymore. As you say, the eat wet house has a bland madness in it that is quite tiresome. There are so many happy ways to go cuckoo, but it seems to frighten them unless they choose some unhappy one. As a late master of such luxurious techniques, I'm perhaps oversensitive and undersympathetic. But don't you think Fugue book is going too far? find myself wincing as you did when I announced the title to my Reno story, Shills Like White Hierophants. At any rate, I wait with the same hopes you speak of for the day when what you call your ice block, if it's really there, which I doubt, melts away. How's that for a sentence? I have a very vivid vision right now of what has always been the case with makers of all sorts. Melting the ice block. Everything that's ever been said on the subject is not only wrong, but opposite, the reverse, an accurate statement for maximum befogging, an undeliberate attempt to mask, not guard, the mystery. I know this to be the case. A few people get out of their own way enough to see how absurd and simple and joyful it all is. This vision cannot be revealed. It is possible to have the revelation, but it is not possible to give it out. It is, however, impossible not to show it in every act. Showing it makes everybody else nervous. Tell Les that is what is real history. Real history is endless chatter about showers. Person walked about once, showing. Nobody will ever figure it out, but they are not able to stop talking about it. Trivial example of real history, J. Elise Kiger walked about this city. Everybody still talks about it. They have nothing else to talk about it. They have nothing else to talk about. It's Joan Kiger. Think about anybody that ever showed anything. That is what real history is. Wittgenstein. What can be shown cannot be said. There. Except that what makes everybody nervous is the solid knowledge that they can't show it, if not being there. It not being there. Except that what makes everybody nervous is the solid knowledge that they can't show it not being there. They keep playing Chopin pieces perfectly and then look up. They're nervous. The audience is nervous because nothing happened and nobody knows why. On the other hand, Chopin made them nervous because obviously something happened, but nobody could say what. Probably only the Buddhist myth picture of many lives and final enlightenment and never the need to come back, but coming back anyway, all that. Probably this is the only accurate statement of how real history works in any of us. We all grant that this is sloppy talking. Who cares how sloppy it is as long as it don't make matters worse. Anyhow, such is my desert vision like. Here's what I intend to do about it. Refuse the company of cuckoo bores. Admitting my own extremely weak temperament, I will not let myself stay so long in turned-off rooms that I too get turned off, sad, nervous, worried, bitchy. Should I become turned off, sad, nervous, I promise not to complain, not to put my static into the already senseless din of the human world. I set aside all my former missionary-type drives. I will not try to reveal. I intend to make my trip on this planet as pleasant and passionate as it is. I do not recommend my trip. Anyone is welcome to walk with me at times, so long as their own clumsiness in getting their own way does not trap my very imperfect nature into its own tendency to mule and puke. End of epistemology section. End of vow section. It certainly is a generous contract. It is important that you take the above absolutely literally. All missionary work must be stopped in the provinces. Attempts to convey a picture of our partial enlightenment will only bring ritual death after mob violence. It is important that you take the above absolutely literally. No missionary work. Always, of course, being on the lookout for a glimmer of wonder and intelligence from behind barbaric eyes. This humble course of action can breed great compassion and thereby mitigate the anguish of exile. An almost forgotten Roman 1800 years ago wrote from Gaul in answer to a letter urging him to return to silken girls in sherbet. They do not come to you at dawn, breathing out leeks and ardor, great clumsy souls with appetites much greater than your larder. I am writing this in the studios of KYIA at 3:30 in the morning. Lenore is making a tape as part of auditioning for a possible TV program out of Los Angeles, a Schlitz-sponsored folk song thing. My real pen ran out of ink, so I switched to this one, another case of inanimate object trouble, which has plagued me all summer with the boat and everything else. Now the mic won't work right. I haven't had a day off since you were here. I'm ragged and resentful of having no time. Fishing is hard work from 4 a.m. until midnight with few breaks. Machinery won't work and sea lions steal your fish. Salmon are always not biting or are biting something else, somewhere else. Fishhooks prick your fingers and knives slip, nicking your poor, swollen hands. However, it is altogether beautiful and wild. You gradually reach a state of near nirvana. Gladness is remote from ecstasy as it is from fear. Whales are always about, even as near to shore 10 to 15 miles as we always are. Albatross zoom around. Sharks sniff at the dimple the line makes as it cuts through the water. The boat becomes an extension of your body, super tool, as close to you as muscles are, as eyes are. It is a strange encasement in an object suspended in the living void, just as being encased in a bag of skin is. You float, wheel through a universe so real as to make the human world even more obviously absurd and petty. Caught 1,055 pounds of salmon at just under 60 cents a pound. Took 6 actual fishing days. The boat was cranky, but worked, on the whole, quite beautifully. One becomes very fond of the boat. But the owner's upset. The vast amounts of money we spent fixing her. Tomorrow we meet with him and try to calm him down. Actually, all the work was essential. We did a winter's boat work in about 3 weeks. Such a fool that he may not be able to understand this, but we will try. It is just possible that we'll lose the boat after all this. That could be all right, too. I'm now known to all the North Ski fishermen and couldn't miss getting on one of their beautiful, clean boats. And the fishing thing could quite easily be a permanent answer to my problem of never having my life be my own. With a small boat, I could easily make a good, free living, doing something worthy of well-made man, rare in America. Now things are still uncertain. I'm very strong and well, huge appetite. I eat about 6 times a day. Sunburned, clear-eyed, good, strong, rough hands, fingernails. I enjoyed your split letter. Oh, I'd love to have my own boat, my own life. All things are arranged to complete and delight me. There are fishermen for whom boats won't work. There are also great heroes like Tony on the Jimmy, a man from Nova Scotia who has mate's papers and who the other day fished in a fog so thick it obscured the nose of his boat, alone, in a troublesome sea, and who had a steamer come so close it cut one of his trawling lines. When he recovered this line, it had a float on it and remained on the fish, stayed with the school he'd found, and caught 40 salmon, huge number, found his way back to his anchorage by 3 in the afternoon, feat comparable to Mallory's pipe and far more complex, understandable to fishermen only. There's also, pardon the expression, poetic part, sunsets, whales, funny colors, wild takes. For 20 seconds each evening, the sea becomes a luminous gas of no color, thing to watch for and to usually miss in a blink. Drifting at night is the archetypical experience, too profound even to be mysterious. As I say, I try not to become unreal about this. Still, I dream only of boats, graceful, white, black, and red in Swedish style, perfect and clean. My wife in the just as the luminous moment occurs, salmon, a sundowner, strikes my line. All but this last fish are iced in my spotless hold, and I and my can't bust 'em jiffy, okay, beat official fisherman outfit, clean my 50-pounder amid wheeling gulls as light fails, my muscles tired and my eyes clear and my heart full and calm. We will eat dinner and drift tonight. Tomorrow at dawn I will drop the lines, still on the fish, who, as they do, will remain beneath the boat all night. This year we plan to winter in Mexico. There's a beautiful little village with adequate dock facilities. We lift the motorcycle onto the dock with my boom hoist, so there's no transportation problem. My God. Oh. There's something very wrong with being a professional artist. Anyway, it seems to me that even Whitman is out of focus because it isn't the same watching the wheat being harvested and actually getting the chaff in your collar band, and Hemingway never hunted as an Eskimo does for the work of it, the providing, and naturally never hunted with the same depth and skill. I was really somewhat pleased that you quit the Zen Institute. It must have been an important drain putting, and if you do get back here, the work itself absolutely necessary for all kinds of reasons. It does figure out right in this bad system even, that with any real steady effort you must net, and the work is good or better than some. Or say that it's wrong to be anything professionally, as we say, a professional, Hiroshi, a teacher, a fisherman. How can anyone so blunt himself? I want to tell you how beautifully I think you write, to Larry Eigner. For one thing, there is speed in poems, like the one starting, "It's Getting There," which I've only seen in Olson and Whalen, and I think you're even faster. By speed, I think I mean only that really all the old lumber is finally gone, and that what is being got at is hit directly. The impression from that poem is exhilarating, a trip, a swift ride. But it is a much deeper thing you do in the poems which, like your title says, you are doing, speak in that big range just before what we see enters the world of words. Big range just before I don't know of any poem in our language that does this better than the one about all that equipment about to work on that field, the noise they make. I just looked it up and find it's the noise they were making, and it's the look into that world which runs all through the book, which makes it so astonishing and fresh and good. But this is craft, and the rest is harder to talk about. That I'm moved by those poems, lifted out and shaken up a bit, something that, after all, is the only point to it. It's the big thing that you are doing. And I think what that is the strong statement which translates out. I walked about this planet for a while. It was this, or like what Van Gogh did. I saw a sunflower. I, Van Gogh. But I blabber, possibly. I have to use your lines. There are all types of inanimate gaiety. As a dedication to a section of the poem I'm now working on, a long poem about salmon fishing commercially, the job I'm now doing, in which may finally have freed me altogether or not. I'll try to keep all my bitterness out of the poem, a thing you do so beautifully in yours. As I write this, my cat is nursing an old t-shirt of mine. He chews and purrs and needs, and today we discovered upon lifting him up from these devotions that he had his, perhaps, first erection. Now he's stopped. He sleeps in his flea collar. September in San Francisco is the month of fleas, world famous, is all about us at every speed at once. Section for fish poem, P-O-M-E, poem. There are all types of inanimate gaiety. Porpoises all the way out. I shoved fish hooks through herring carefully. The hook is near the nail, body straight. The bait can't spin. And a pin through the head and hook, tied with a rubber band, one after the other, neatly arranged, belly up. Their bellies, always white as porpoises, first, fast white, driving through the water faster than you, then big black shape, splash, startled from herring, laugh. I always feel lucky when they, jellyfish, brown, like Turkish pillows, or ice white in clumps of thousands, the goo all over the fishing wire, sting when splashed in the eye. Slimy ones, filthy sons of bitches, nothing to my knowledge eats them. Green water, brown water, water with patches exactly like chicken shit, even feathers in it, plankton, the penguins. To fisher folk near, I'm told, up to dry their tiny wings, stand like emblems on Roman standards, swim as fast as roadrunners run. Caught one 3 stops down, 60 feet. A bird on a fish hook, or the barnacles when we painted the boat bottom, cluster of them on the screw shaft, whole life spinning, and then I wire brush them into void. For how many kalpas? The whole business very hard on sentient beings. It's all crowded around us as we walk our bellied floor. The salmon so big in August, we shoot them in the head before gaffing them, pounding their heads in, guts ripped out and thrown to the gulls. Lice in the gills, lice by the fin, behind their vents, like tiny rays or skates. You can't do that and be a Buddhist. So much the worse for Buddhism. Very end. Next end. No more fish to gut. The gulls ignore us into port. Or so much the worse for Buddhism. Times a fishing boat is visited by canaries. I had dozens of them once, albacoring. They stayed with me 3 or 4 days, hopping all over the place. One died in the scuppers, just sat there sleeping, so I didn't disturb him. Then plop all over he goes with his little feet straight up in the air. It was awful. Not one canary's lit on the boat since. Whatever happens so suddenly and is over so quickly that you'd have to have your camera always ready, always sighted in. And what if you could do this? Could walk all day with a pack and cocked camera. All the picture would show would be a very large doe and 2 fawns. The explosion in the brush would be absent. All that noise as they break across knee-deep water. Long hours of walking and silent, baked rock cliffs of it. And you, tired, with eyes stinging from sweat. It isn't a sudden sight. Doe, 2 fawns. It's a long, long, plotless movie. Man in the gorge. Trying to learn to trust our own ears and breath. Stop yammering. I'm now working along the path started in wobbly rock, trying to set down the truths I learned from Mahayana, but religiously straight, no reliance upon Japanese forms, images, things. Must be made in terms strictly found in my part of this planet. To use your phrase, the breathing must be ours. The gesture ours. Our rocks. For this is how I know it. And after all, you can only tell what you know. And the only way you know of telling it, of course, may not interest anybody. In which case, too bad. Only I know, just as she did, that it's almost sure to interest everybody if done truly. So I've always gone only on the standard of accuracy. If it is accurate, there will always be form. If it is accurate, there will always be beauty. If it is accurate, it will have to count. So it's fierce and starkly simple. You don't have to worry or even consider these things. Which is why I especially prize your remark, such individual acts instead of the whole damned heavy machinery of the age. I come on pretty quiet for lots of folks right now. While I'm definitely the sort that feeds on, that gets big nourishment from the wider temperaments that got us off our asses, still I just ain't of that breed of cats, though too nutty to get jobs and or impress our 20,000 a year cold ladies. It's a very exciting time. The whole thing rests squarely on self-other. The bone is perception. The bone is perception. The strongest stance of mind, the alert repose, described by all them swinging Asiatics who not only made it, but who so lucidly tell us how they got there. Anyone can say there is no separation. The point is to perceive this, knowing you perceive it, and not somehow letting this knowing fuck everything up. Fascinating exercise. Crazy university at endless courses and no diploma, all process, the rub, only the rubbing. Yet, as I've been insisting to Duncan, a recently started correspondence, the poems must be about something. Naturally, it's the weddings we record. Now, we might, as we all do, spend fascinating hours with Gertie's essence of the going. Man, that gas is always the same. What I want to know is what's going on out there. Like those satyrs you saw on that beach? Yes, always remembering there is no separation. Right now it's a book on self-other, Leo Poems, the Book of Leo, with commentaries by a red monk. I have a quiet room and this magic typewriter. I New Royal. Notice the typeface, the pretty K. I have no excuses. I know this Royal and I want this. I am good. You're right, must quit waving arms and legs around. Oh my God, Sue Bud. One must learn to shut his door. Will probably work 4 hours daily in post office. Other, more romantic possibilities seldom pay $2 an hour, and after all aren't really available. You have to worry and fuss to make them happen, which they do rarely. Tuna fishing, grants. Did not get my Saxton grant. See no possibility of getting to Japan, unless, which is imminent, my great-uncle dies, and which he possibly won't do. He includes me in his will. Haven't written him for years and years. Nothing to say. Thanks for generous remarks about Wobbly Rock. Pleased that you're pleased with dedication. Huge response to the poem. Inordinately flattering letter from Olson. Delicious things go on in it. As nice a new thing as I've seen. Very true and delicate. Very great. Like being praised by Bird. And today, D. Allen said more people mentioned me as a new find, etc. in his anthology than anybody. It is all very pleasant, but remote somehow. Somehow is talk about what they invent, I stand for them. It removes something I used to worry about, though. It's freeing. Why do we dream of lost cities when lost groves grow beyond the next rock knoll? The next and next. Deer may safely graze. And all that man is, which is all that sickens me, drops away again into the same old poem. You bear with me. Snow water, 10 miles of flowing over, hot boulders, the waterfalls warm, soap, shower, luxury. While almost all the needled cone bearers stand nameless beside my fishing streams, this, which was deliberate, now is neglect, laziness. A man who thinks he's got something has lost the only thing he's got, concern for minute things. Gives scale to all of this size, tiny white flowers, blue ones with raindrops, neatly placed on all 4 petals. I'm at Kirby Doyle's house right now and read in a letter from you to him that you wondered where I am. I'm now completely cured of all my foolishness, pain, despair, bitterness. Flinch is gone. My whole life is again reorganized. This time, to me liking for a while. I've been living all my life with half my mind as square and snobbish as F. Scott Fitz. It's been shown to me at last that I am only made miserable by that world. And that small amount of strength, discipline, clarity of purpose, list here all the virtues Mr. Snyder seems to have quite naturally. Unless I move out of cities and stay off the juice, I'll just be sick and miserable and frightened. And I guess I really don't want that, though you'd never know by just watching me operate most of the time. So I now will have $100, refund from insane effort to kill myself by buying expensive property in Big Sur. Story too shameful to tell you here, though I may tell it someday. And with that, I can last till mid-October, when Mama will probably be able to find another $100. Don't worry, only when I'm under big trees by a good fishing river, far from Scott's silly world, a world I was born to and accept by, I now know, fortunate accident, would have been rich enough to do right. So there I'd be, rich, without genius, drunk, charming, powerful. As it is, I suppose I'll have to be, as they say, the first world poet since Whitman and Lawrence. Won't that be fun? If that happens, I promise to tell the whole world how much I'm indebted to you for being around. More genius in your little finger than I have, except 5 minutes out of every year, and then I'm usually too drunk to talk. I hear you and Les are still worried about your house, rent. It's too bad. Why don't you split from the city? I'll write you letters. Lots of people will. You won't be any lonelier than you are now, and it costs less. You can take long walks in the real world. And then every now and then you can visit people and be the visiting lion and get fed and fondled, which people would rather do for a seldom visitor than for the man who lives down the street. I'm struck by the fact that all of us supposedly hip people, only Ginsberg and Snyder and Corso, seem to be outwitting the system. It is shameful, don't you think so? Fuck it, I'm tired of all that. I've been trying to read Creeley with pleasure and confess I cannot. What's all the fuss about? All I see is childish or pot rhymes and a streak of viciousness. A real power thing clothed better, but as uninteresting as Spicer's. Certainly none of Olson's or Williams' real size and love. I must be wrong. Duncan and Olson have this huge respect for his work, and they're a lot smarter than I am. I'm writing again. Many new poems, good ones, very musical. I'm accepting the Irish sounds, the pretty ones like orange, the brilliant slugs, nibbling at leaves of trillium. Isn't that pretty? And long poems, written weeping. I accept my gift of tears. I've been in a very bad way, Philip, but now it's all something else again, and I like it now. I bought a good axe. Tomorrow I'll rise early and go to Big Sur and get my $100 back. But then I'll return and visit you. If you have 3 pages of poems, I know where you can place them for $25, or write 6 and get 50. Real offer. I'll tell you all about it when I see you. I intend to force 9 pages on them for $75. I will use the money for new boots and a Kelty pack and whiskey. Always your loving nephew. Greetings, gentlemen. Here I am in a beautiful forest where I have salmon and eggs every morning for breakfast. The fish run 5 to 10 pounds, and the largest I caught took 35 minutes to land. I catch one each evening. It takes about a half an hour. Still haven't found a cabin for the winter, but have 4 possibilities. The owners are hard to pin down or find or both, and can rent one of 2 for maybe $15, so I'm not worried. This is a gorgeous country. I am camped on the river about half a mile from the road and 2 miles from anybody. I goof. I've met dozens of very straight people and can buy a claim from one of them for $500. They're very poor and I worry about them. Their land is worth about $3,000, but they need a grub stake for the winter. New bay and all that. It's a beautiful piece of land, 10 acres with spring and gold and fish. I'll try. What news? Nobody writes me letters, and I go every day to P.O. This is mainly to give you my address. Ask for at war with any or all of our enemies yet. I'll invite you all up here, if and when I have a place to invite you to. Steelhead soon, deer season soon, woods full of drunk people, big guns. Ugh. I'm all right now. Nobody believes I really cracked up. Bad, but I'll say anyway. It's all over. What a relief. I'll never ever go back there again. You guys get out. It's bad. Dear Lou, can there really be such a place as Forks of Salmon? I hope you are still where you were when you wrote me, with a cabin come through and a bunk and a wood stove or fireplace, and then you can have some friends over just like you say. New notes on thought to tack on to Lao Tzu or Wittgenstein. A. That which is not understood cannot be expressed. B. To be fully understood, it must be expressed. C. There is no inexpressible. The problem is understanding. So, actually, ideally, he who speaks knows. He who doesn't speak doesn't know. How to get along easy. Get some instant oatmeal. Add a lot of raisins. Chop up some dried apricots, peaches, figs, whatever, as fine as you have patience. Add to above, along with busted up peanuts and almonds and ground nuts, tochus, pecans, etc., natural nuts. Tochus. 2 chews. That's fine, maybe. Ground nuts, 2 chews, pecans, etc. Natural nuts and dates, if you can afford any. Put in lots of wheat germ. Toasted is best. Mix in a bit of soy flour, if there is any, and also a spoonful or 2 of brewer's yeast if you don't mind the flavor. How to have a Tibetan-style robe. Take any old bathrobe with heavy wool. Cut off the belt loops and pockets. Fix a button on the right side somewhere so you can sort of close it if it's cold. Dye it deep red or brown. Get a long sash or dye the same sash with it. Tie the sash low around the waist. When you have to run or work, pull up the robe and let it lap down over the sash. You can pull it up as far as you like. I burn up the deer in my body. I burn up the trees in my stove. If you do set up a zendo, I won't join. I eat meat and sit better all alone and wild. I hate all organizations. I will only help set it up and maybe be gold mining foreman. I took original face for my cone. Very difficult, but it's starting to dissolve. I hate that damn cone, but that is what I want to figure out. I don't give a damn about clapping or dogs. This spring I intend to do quiet manicuring of my sitting place. If you get here, I'll take you there. I walk to sit about 1 hour, walk back. Altogether just under 2 hours, with much walking. I have best zazen walking. I will bring that official bell we use to use at. Marinon. I need that bell. Also, I will set up incense on rock. Now I have only my rifle. I may plant a plum tree or wild apple. I may plant wild grapes. They are all over here. Many new poems, some of them dandies. Blow cho fu. Dear Joanne, how nice to get your beautiful card. The picture of Mount also is very fine. Yes, Nemi Frost and Philip La Mancha made a big scene, but it wasn't over vodka. Philip began screaming, La Mancha, and we all thought we couldn't stop. Then Nemi had some kind of tantrum, so Mike McClure had to leave early. Don Allen left even before all that. The main poem I wanted everybody to hear did not fit on the tape recorder. It wasn't finished anyway, so I had to make the last part up. I don't know what I said, but everyone cheered and cheered. Then I got back here and read it. Seems to be about somebody almost dying, some kind of longing, their vows. It's all very confusing. Kirby and I were very boxed after nearly 10 days of preparation. He in the middle of losing D, and great hospitality from everybody. We blew far too hard and too long, and had Monk and Coleman on the phonograph with Shannon Doyle as DJ. We wanted to transport everybody on great shouts of love and glee. Apparently did so, but since then I can't even look at my poems or the inside of my head. Neither can Kirby. Now to answer your questions. Yes, I am sure rocks live. Somebody, I can't find who, wrote a beautiful poem about how it is to be a rock. There are terrible pressures and temperatures. And the crystals are proof that the whole point was to be beautiful, especially if you have the time to be an agate. The same goes for adjectives. They are real whenever they are. Ginsberg is the master of adjectives. He makes nouns out of them. Angel-headed hipster. Negro streets. Duncan says, hurt voluptuous grace. Making something very weird. I use adjectives as seldom as possible. I don't know how to become how either. I'll think about that. Stan Persky said they were unimpressed by your poetry. I think you should know that Phil Whalen was most impressed, and he is harder to impress than anyone. So was I, also by the beautiful Indian rubbings. If you mean that Persky was unimpressed together with his they, with my poetry, I don't care. After thinking and thinking all winter long, I think I'm finally becoming almost able to realize in what sense it is all mind. Everybody but me seems to know this. Eddington, astronomer, physicist. The world is made of mind stuff. Of course I don't mean mind or stuff, but you know what mind is. Mr. Garland, the Reed philosopher whom you met, told me to give up your X world. Give up your X world. You've already said you can't see it or speak it or know it. As long as you pretend it's there, you'll be very lonely. The next day I was surprised and delighted by the car. The next day I was surprised and delighted by the way the highway straightened itself out as it rolled beneath my car. But today, now, I feel like I'm living in a big green cloud of my own making, very nervous about what might be outside it. The real answer is I'm stupid and able to spin words any way I like. Also, there is a vast con game going on, and I can't see why it's necessary. If I even think about it, I get sick. Here's what I'm doing. Lizards, wasps, every day a thunder shower, muggy heat, 6 green snakes ate all my frogs, poison oak, trout with orange and blue spots, ice in small lakes, naked all day long, crew cut, 5 tomato plants, small black bear. When you walk through the fields, tiny grasshoppers spray out in all directions from your feet. I fill 2 tubs with water every morning, and by afternoon, the sun has heated it just right, and I bathe in one and rinse in the other by dumping it over my head. The other day about your brothers, Faulknerian, like his good guys, that is, and I dug a grave for an illegitimate and premature baby. He weighed only 2.5 pounds, lived about 2 hours. One of the brothers was responsible. They felt it should receive proper burial, since it did live for a while. So we dug a hole, an almost solid rock, using a cord of old Overholt and 4 big sticks of dynamite. No matter how I try, the huge agonized face of all victimized humanity, tyrant and slave, every place and time, looks down at me from the cabin wall. A movie stuck on a single frame. There's no use making it dissolve into its individuals. All you get that way is a stack of atrocity stories, each as unnecessary and pointless and appalling as the next. And shadowed over this face, so that both images are one, is this nice little green planet, exactly fitting to our size. Face speaks, says, "All right, buddy, come here. Where's your ID? How long you lived at that address? Get in the car." What do your blue eyes see? The hermit songs. The way our forms are, it's never possible to know where you are until it's all done. Should be blown at one sitting, like jazz. My energies. It's like Rilke's elegies. Joanne and Gary are back in the States from Japan. Roadside daffodils outside Sebastopol. This is not Sebastopol, but I think of daffodils. There is one in a Coke bottle on my desk that hurried you down the road to meet me, for I held flowers. My hand was sweet with sap for days. This way, she knows what the sap was, gets drunk on your syllables, comes back again and again for more. Don't ever show her this letter. This is for us to really know how Daffodil Sebastopol outside roadside works, or trade, you might say. What we diddle with over a beer, leering, longing, but never crack. It's a mystery. We hear from her and don't explain. Dear Lou, I got a new ribbon today, so I thought that I would write you a letter about a certain poet named Lou Welch, who's mentioned favorably on page 236 in the Literary Rebel, written by Kingsley Vidmer, published by the Southern Illinois University Press. It's also rumored that the same poet can walk on water. I can't remember the distance. Life in the 20th century is so hectic. Say hello to Philip. Yours, Richard. Thank you, Lou Welch, for seeing a reason to mention me. You say compactly some things I've always wanted to say. I recognize, like, as much as ever, his color faded with his light, a small green fish. In, on, out, I like. Even an idiot could understand. Fern, trees, small brown bird, actual berries from my hand, wobbly rock. Even a good gust of wind will do it. I used to watch the pelican. The cat leapt, berate my fury with the bumblebee. Wish you happiness of your method, like the picture, Marianne Moore. After a month, I'll move to 35 West 9th Street, 7B, New York. Dear Lou, I'm hardly able to write because where I am is so far from writing or reading, but I thought of you today and how much at home you'd be here, and a boat will be stopping by in a few days and will take mail. 14 people, 1-year-old boy, on this small island with 40 village people half a mile away. An active Stromboli-type volcano, coral. We live in thatch houses in a bamboo, banyan, and banana semi-jungle. The tribe here is all artists, sadhu wanderers, 5 girls and all workers. We work a big sweet potato field, back-breaking, clearing out old bamboo roots for planting. Read by candlelight, gather pine for firewood, fish on the beach, incredibly rich in fish. Today I speared undersea a 5-pound beauty with emerald and cobalt specks on an olive and silver ground, with homemade bamboo spear powered with inner tube. Meditate inside the big banyan tree we cleared out. Not a car on the island. The boat from Kagoshima stops once a week offshore. The group is going to keep this place. House we are renting. Land free to those who will use it. And a few kids will live here all year. My girl is here with me, and we are going to be married here on August 6th. All the islanders join in later and drink with us. Life is all around us, going at every speed at once. Last night we had to raise the anchor, move the boat, and anchor again because it looked like the wind was coming up and the kelp we'd hooked in would never hold us. I stood on the bow, in the fog, watching for boats. Many fishermen are careless about lighting their mast lights, sleepy, in my shore-type slippers. Bright streaks of it jittered out of our path as we eased along through phosphorus water. They're terrified little minds, what fish. Must we always name them? Then I let the anchor down into good sandy bottom and watched the rope go taut. We slept easily that night. And the next morning, I stand on our clean deck, made cleaner by the fog all night, and urinate over the rail. The burlap bags are put over the side to wash, and the surge are still hanging from the rope I tied. I lifted them out and find they're full of baby shrimp which hop in the meshes like little pink fleas. It's 4 o'clock, dark. Bill is down below, fumbling with the diesel stove. I am bone weary after 13 consecutive days of this. You have to fish every decent day because the weather can always put you out of work, and it's a short season. I always wonder if any other animal has to begin its hunt as painfully as we do. But the cabin warms up, the radio is turned on, and breakfast begins to fry. The fishing radio is very strange. It's like sparrows waking up. In the San Francisco area, the Italians are the first up. They fish in very small day boats, selling their fish each day, not, as the Nordskis, icing the fish for 5 to 8 days and selling them all at once. For this reason, the Italian fishermen have to get up at 2 or 3 in the morning and run out to the fishing grounds. San Francisco Italian fishermen love to talk on the radio, particularly during those early, lonely hours. So you turn on the radio at 4, and it is alive with a babble as meaningless and meaningful as that from a palm tree full of sparrows at dawn. Through the din of Italian in the mornings and explaining how their lasagna was last night, finally come reports of what the weather's like. Meanwhile, we eat eggs. We're at Point Reyes, only 2 hours from the fishing grounds. They are running out from San Francisco. So the whole northwestern fishing fleet depends on the Italians from San Francisco. That is, they depend on them for accurate weather news each morning when the fishing is near the Farallone Islands, Point Reyes. That's my home.